with South Carolina taking a 37-20 lead against number 10 Texas A&M at home, we got to say it is one of the more resounding and cool upsets in college football this year, given what South Carolina has shown itself to be, which is capable of winning a game like this and establishing a 17-point lead with 3:24 left to play, and really turning Williams-Brice into the kind of place that Shane Beamer envisioned it being when SEC teams would need to come there. And this is a guy who's been up and down all throughout his time at South Carolina. South Carolina fans love him. South Carolina fans hate him. I know alumni that are like, I don't know what to do with this dude, but you seem to like Shane Beamer. I do like Shane Beamer. Shane Beamer is about it when he talks. And he's also a guy that keeps his receipts. I remember going back to the SEC media days. He had a whole list of things he needed people to know about his football program and how the SEC media had voted against his football program. And then they kind of showed us that they were about something. They beat Kentucky like they sold something. At the time, we're thinking maybe Kentucky's just not that good. Maybe South Carolina's a little bit better. Turns out Kentucky plays Georgia to a 1-point loss at home. And we're going, wait a second. South Carolina, and then South Carolina's in a ball game with LSU. LSU comes back to win that thing. They're in a ball game with Alabama. Alabama comes back to win that thing. They stomp out Oklahoma at Oklahoma. And he's looking around. He's going, hey, guys, I was at this school. I understand what it means to win here. I understand how difficult it is to get wins in the SEC. And this is not the time when you want to be figuring out your quarterback position. This is not the time when you want to be trying to figure out what this SEC is all about in the middle of the season. You got to make it go, and the throttle's got to get down. And he took some of his own advice, and he put that back into South Carolina football. And they put themselves in position to beat up the last undefeated team in SEC play in number 10 Texas A&M at South Carolina. Really, really great win, I think, for them, right? We're doing this, and they got a 16-point lead here with 3:24 left to go. I don't feel the least bit bad about that. 13-27, 244 for Lenore Sellers, but also, I mean, between him and Rocket Sanders, you got a rushing attack that's awesome. Like, we're talking about getting to 137 yards and 100 yards rushing in before garbage time starts to kick off. But we're also talking about being able to hold A&M in check. And I thought it was interesting that A&M, for me, looked a lot like South Carolina. South Carolina looks a lot like A&M. Outstanding defensive lines, pretty damn good on the back end, quarterbacks that are much more likely to beat you up running the football than throwing the football, and a tailback or two that can get after you. I thought that this one had the makings of being pretty outstanding, pretty good. I know South Carolina is unranked, and I understand that Texas A&M is number 10, but that's by virtue of beating LSU and having the one loss against Notre Dame at A&M. And then what you'd seen, right? Now, Mike Elko on Sunday says, hey, Marcel Reed is our starting quarterback. Connor Wigman is his backup, to which I'm kind of scratching my head because you were able to exploit an obvious weakness now, not obvious then, but obvious weakness now in LSU's defense with Marcel Reed, right? You change the pace. You understand that we have the numbers on the perimeter in the run game if we start running the quarterback as often as we might, and they're able to turn that game into a rout and a win against an LSU team that still played pretty well, and Garrett Nussmeier played well. Then you're going to try to run that same game plan against South Carolina. The difference is South Carolina already has that on tape, so they get to prepare for it, and South Carolina says, wait, we're just playing ourselves now. This is Lenore Sellers. This is what we've been doing all year. We have to live and die by if that guy can complete passes, we're going to be pretty damn good. And he did, man. In this game, he had 4 to Joshua Simons, including one that was a 57-yard backbreaker for 132 yards, 2 TDs. They kept going to him. You got great kicking out of Alex Herrera, who went 4 for 4 on his extra points and 3 for 3 in field goals. Stuff you just weren't getting from against Alabama. Stuff you just weren't getting against LSU. But the other thing that has become clear about South Carolina's team and Shane Beamer, South Carolina, is that they're going to play their best football in November. And guess what month it is, guys? It is November. A couple years ago, they doubled up Clemson and Tennessee to finish, and it looked like it came out of nowhere. But that's just what this program has done here in the last few years. And now we got a 5-team tie at the top of the SEC with 3 weeks of football, SEC football, left to play before we got to figure out who's going to play in the conference championship. And everybody in that league is gettable. Everybody in that league can get beat by everybody else in that league for the first time perhaps ever. We're talking about Vanderbilt getting its first win at Auburn ever, doubling up Alabama and Auburn for the Alabama State Championship for the first time since 1955. We're talking about Alabama taking a loss to Vanderbilt and Tennessee in the same year. We're talking about Georgia needing to come back to take a win in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party against a Florida team that was down to the third-string quarterback and the second string and the third-string tailbacks, and a defense that I know people think is sneaky good, but it's a Georgia offense we expected to run through them. Hey, RJ, we didn't have Trevor Etienne. So, Carson Beck threw 3 interceptions to that team. And it wasn't really him that ends up winning the football game for you. It is the defense, once again, needing to get a late pick of the Yale transfer and the redshirt freshman who was a deer in headlights, did everything he could. My heart goes out to Aiden and what he was trying to get done out there. But there's a reason why the dude didn't get no run with the first team until he was in there against the Georgia Bulldogs. Okay? That's what we're looking at here. Aiden throwing to Aiden, I thought was going to be pretty cool. Aiden Mizell had 3 catches, 50 yards in this one. But we're also looking at, the score is already blown up. It's 44-20. You know what I'm saying? This is getting out of hand for A&M, and it's going to be real interesting to see where they rank in the College Football Playoff Selection Committee's top 25 and whether or not South Carolina gets into that thing. We're going to go through my top 25, and I'm going to kind of predict what I think is going to happen, what I think the teams look like based on what we've seen from this Week 10 going into Week 11. But I think this is a demonstration of the SEC. And I've had some people coming from the Big Ten, Ohio State fans mostly, Oregon fans some, a few Indiana fans going, RJ, how can you say that the SEC is the best league in football, has the best football of any league in college football? I'm going, they're eating each other alive. Top to bottom, Vanderbilt is not an easy win. Mississippi State has got off the map and decided we're going to play a little football. All the way down to Auburn, who's sorry, right? Auburn's not good, okay? However, if I look at the Big Ten, I'm watching Washington go back and forth with USC, and both of those teams are bad, right? I'm watching Indiana stomp a mud hole in Michigan State and walk it dry. I'm watching Penn State not score a damn offensive touchdown against Ohio State. It's really a 3-team league. That's what I'm telling you. It's a 3-team league. It's Indiana, it's Ohio State, and it's Oregon. After that, everybody else is running second. Meanwhile, we got a 5-way tie, and what we know of is a league that can produce national champions, and that's what we're going off of here. LSU, Alabama, Georgia, those are 3, okay? You know how many national champions come out of the Big Ten? 2. Ohio State, Michigan. Oregon, still looking for their first national championship ever. Indiana, still looking for their first national championship ever. You go through Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Texas, Oklahoma, Florida. You can keep going. You know what I'm saying? Even A&M has a national championship, even if it's from 1939. But those hopes look dashed as they fall to 2 losses. Still got a shot, but that's the thing. It feels like everybody that has 2 losses or fewer can make the SEC championship game and can make the college football playoff. So it's going to become real interesting once we get past 4 conference champions and the highest ranked group of 5 champions. So that's 5 spots accounted for. When we start talking about the 7 spots that we're going to get to, and A&M is going to have to figure this out because I think that you're going to have to keep running with Marcel Reed, but you're going to have to commit to doing what he does well. And right now, that's not throwing the football. He just does not throw the football well. He 18 of 28, 206, pick, 3 sacks. You didn't get enough out of Amari Daniels. I understand the thing about Le'Veon Moss, so I'm going to the tent like everybody else. That sucks. But you had a tailback that was, frankly, your most productive tailback in Daniels last year that was still there, and you still getting doubled up by South Carolina and Lenore Sellers. Credit to South Carolina for showing up to the football game. A&M did not know how to respond to a win in front of 108,000 of their fans. They think they're going to take this momentum with them to South Carolina. South Carolina said, you got another thing coming. Really enjoyed that for them. I think it's a great win, and I think it is indicative of what we're going to see in the SEC the rest of the way. What's up, kid folks? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. If you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 116,000 subscribers here on the channel. We do this after big games on Saturdays. We do this on Sundays. We do this on Tuesdays after the College Football Playoff Selection Committee announces what its top 25 looks like, and I pick it apart, right? We do this. This is our time. November to December through to January, you're going to want to be here. I only do this. This is what I love to do, and I love chatting with you. So if you're in the live chat, say what's up. Keep it clean. Keep it civil, but talk your noise if you got that win. Talk your noise if you can't wait to get somebody on the other side of this here thing. Another team that we got to take a look at while we are here is Clemson. My goodness, man. smoke and mirrors is what it turns out to be. Like, there's some folks that were thinking perhaps Clemson isn't as good as we think they are. And I'm like, yo, they dropping 40 on everybody they play. And they're going, but RJ, what did we learn here? And then I take a look at the resume, right? I'm looking at what Clemson has done since Georgia. And once you get past they were undefeated since that loss to Georgia and you see them coming up against Louisville, one of the things that you notice is all the teams they've beaten are at 500 or have a losing record. The best win on Clemson's schedule up until this game against Louisville was Virginia, which means that Clemson should be beating those teams because that's what we expect of Clemson. But is it the kind of team that you expect to make the college football playoff? Is it the kind of team that you expect to make the ACC championship game? Well, that got answered tonight. Tyler Shuck and Louisville gave them the what for and the how now. 33-21. Clemson doing everything they can to get back in this game late, but it was out of hand. Cade Klubnik was brought back down to earth. 29 of 50 for 196. That's 3.9 yards per attempt. That's abysmal. Meanwhile, Tyler Shuck, 17 of 32 for 156, but he didn't have to do that much. You block the field goal, you run that back, you take a lead. You're able to run the ball really well with Isaac Brown, who had 20 for 151. You're doing enough, right? You're letting Clemson get in its own way, and they're not able to dig themselves out of a hole as they drop their second game of the season and really drop themselves out of the ACC championship as it stands right now. We entered week 10 with 4 teams that could make the ACC championship, all being undefeated in ACC play. Clemson was one of them. Another one that got dumped on its head is Pittsburgh by Southern Methodist earlier tonight. And that goes along with Miami needing to come back from 11 points down against Duke to continue to be undefeated. So now it is Miami and Southern Methodist at the top of the ACC standings. That is Southern Methodist and Miami in a 17-team league. And it looks like those are going to be your teams that are playing for the ACC championship. I don't know how we're going to feel if Southern Methodist goes and gets this W all the way through. Like, they're only lost to BYU, which didn't feel great at the time. But then you look down and you see that BYU is the last undefeated team in the Big 12. So that loss looks even better. So I'll be curious to find out where the College Football Playoff Selection Committee puts them. Is that a top 10 team? Is it a top 15 team? What do you think, especially if you're going to have BYU in that top 10, and you will, right? To say nothing of, how big is it that SMU got a win against an undefeated Pittsburgh that handed Syracuse's head defensively and couldn't move the ball offensively, right? What does it mean that Miami is just the cardiac kids? They got to play from behind. That's when they feel alive, apparently. If Virginia Tech ain't got them throwing a Hail Mary at the end at 1:30 in the morning local time to try to get this thing sorted out after the fact, they don't feel alive. If they're not down 11 and a half, or in third quarter, against Duke, they don't feel alive. They're not down 18 to Cal on the road, they don't feel alive. But apparently that's what it takes. 25-41, 400 yards, 5 TDs, and a pick for Cam Ward. And then Xavier Restrepo becomes, I'm not kidding, the most prolific wide receiver in Miami Hurricanes history. It goes Xavier Restrepo, everybody else. Now, played a lot of football, played for a very long time, but still, the receptions record is his. The receiving yards record is his. TDs, that's going to be his too, right? That's where we're at here. It is a fascinating time to be watching the Miami Hurricanes play, because aside from Colorado, I don't know that the Bros ride harder for any other program across the country than we do for Miami, for what Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Michael Irvin, what those teams mean to us in particular. That's the you that we be thinking about, okay? Ken Dorsey just got the keys. But what I be thinking about is, Clinton Portis' kid he committed to play football here earlier. Yeah, Clinton Portis' kid is there. Willis McGahee got kids. Frank Gore got kids playing in the NFL. That's our people, right? And so it's nice to see that level of football being played at Miami for the first time since 2017. They are off to 9-0, along with Indiana, who I mentioned, right? They're 9-0 for the first time in their history. Where do you rank them? Do you rank them ahead of SMU? Yeah, you do, because they got the undefeated, and you got SMU with the one loss. But do you rank Indiana ahead of BYU? They ain't played nobody. Have they beaten up on everybody they played? Hell yes, they have. They dropped 47 on Michigan State's skull, and they came from behind to do it, right? Curtis Work looked fine. They're going to be an interesting matchup for Ohio State, and Ohio State fans are excited about it because, well, you kind of need the resume builder, and you need the get back, right? You got that against Penn State, but frankly, if you put Penn State in Indiana's clothes, That's what you expect Indiana to be. If you put Indiana in Penn State's clothes, that's what you would have expected Penn State to be. But Indiana's not going to get the blue blood tax exemption that Penn State got to be the number 3 team in the country going into this when none of us really thought that was it. It's just that's what the public would allow. Top 25s are a lot like Rorschach tests, right? It's not so much just what I think are the best teams in football. It's that you won't allow that Army being 8-0 for the first time since 1996 is a top 10 team. You won't allow that. Right? Because you would say, hey, any of these other teams that got losses probably beat that Army team. We got to take that into account when we do these things. And I just wanted to make that clear. So when we go through the top 25 a little bit later on, know that that's in my thinking as well, where we see Clemson, where we see SMU, where we see Pitt, if we see Pitt. And, there's a couple of teams that are going to slide in here, going to slide up off the rip, off the tip. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's going to be what it is. I also want to salute Tennessee coming from behind to beat Kentucky. They're up 28-18 with 3:11 left to play as we're talking. Damn, this SMU game getting out of hand. 48-11 with 8:22 left to play. If you're watching on the replay, you understand what we're doing right now. I think this is as wide open as we've seen the sport in some time, but I also think that wide open shrinks as we get closer and closer to playing for championships. Like we saw it today. We saw what pressure does to these pipes, and it be cracking. We had undefeated teams showing up, and we ain't got undefeated teams going out, baby. Like, there were some teams that out here, like, I thought Clemson was going to handle Louisville and keep it on rolling. Louisville said, nah, we going to handle Clemson because we want to get to 5-3. They're stuck at 6-3. They're stuck at 6-2. Oregon took care of business with Michigan 38-17. You know about that. Last thing to say about Clemson is if they don't beat South Carolina a little bit later on, and they're not going to make the ACC championship, do you continue apace with Garrett Riley, with Dabo Swinney, with Wes Goodwin? Is that what you're going to do? I think the answer is yes, but you're going to start thinking about it, And if nothing else, who else feels real good about Clemson taking a loss today, Pittsburgh taking a loss today? Florida State. Like, they got to feel, all right, cool. We can focus on somebody else catching all these hands because we're at 1-7 for the first time since the 1970s, and it doesn't feel that good. But credit to Louisville coming up off the mat like South Carolina, an unranked opponent, taking out a top 15, number 11, number 10 teams respectively in this weekend of college football. Really loved that. That was exciting. Texas Tech did the same thing to Iowa State. They beat Iowa State 23-22. That means that Colorado has an opportunity to get into the college football playoff for the first time in the Coach Prime era on Tuesday. And I would be shocked if that is not exactly what happens. As a matter of fact, if the College Football Playoff Selection Committee makes its top 25 for Week 11 and it does not have Colorado in it, we fighting. It's on site. We got to, because that's gonna feel rigged. That's gonna feel rigged to leave them out because of all the carnage that you've seen and what happened for them during a bye week. Like, this is the best bye week that Colorado's ever had. Has to be. Because the last time the Colorado was in the top 25 for any college football playoff selection committee ranking was 2016, week 14. They were as high as number 8 in week 13, and then they dropped to number 10 in week 14 to 10-3, 2016. Great year for them. But in the prime era, it ain't happened, right? So now they're back in the top 25 for the first time a couple weeks ago. They take the bye week, and they find out Iowa State takes a loss. It's great for their chances of the Big 12 championship. Kansas State takes a loss. Houston coming up off the mat to knock them out. That's great for their opportunity to make the Big 12 championship. So now, not only should you see Colorado in the College Football Playoff Selection Committee's top 25 for the first time since 2016 on Tuesday, you should also expect Colorado to be a featured participant in any Big 12 championship game scenario that is on tap for this week. Check this out. Colorado needs to win out. All these scenarios work if Colorado wins out. And they're going to play Texas Tech on Saturday, and you saw what Texas Tech was able to do to a 7-0 Iowa State on the road. That's a good football team. They're going to bring their A game, and going to Jones is always tough, right? Not sure if that game is at night, but if it is, weird stuff happens to other teams at Jones at night. Matter of fact, Texas Tech is also got the fan base that uncovered that you could hack the opposing team's coach comm to helmet communication and then send it in. That's who you playing against. The Red Raider fan base, they not playing with this. They not. They want to take every opportunity, every advantage they can get to try to whoop your ass. And everybody want to beat Colorado. Everybody want to whoop Colorado ass. That's just, they know that, you know that. Texas Tech not going to hide that, all right? Now, after you get past Colorado's got to win out, which would get them to 10 wins, like this 2016 team, they need BYU to win out. Okay? And then they need Kansas State to beat Iowa State at the end of the year. There's some other things that can happen, but that's the simplest scenario. So the tiebreaker might, depending on how you look at it, go to Colorado, but it might not come to that if Iowa State loses to Kansas State to end the year. Kansas State dropping this game to Houston, manna from heaven, right? Because Kansas State has that head-to-head win against Colorado if you're talking about tiebreaker scenario. Now, you need one more. You need one more to go your way, and you need to have more wins than them in Big 12 play. You're also looking at a Colorado whose losses are Nebraska and Kansas State. Nebraska loss, it don't look as good as it could because UCLA was able to beat Nebraska today. And I understand that if you're a Colorado fan, you hate Nebraska, but in this case, you wanted them to have the win because it looks better on your resume when the college football playoff complexion can start doing this eye test. Okay, that's what you want. You also got to see Travis Hunter on Big Noon with Joel Klatt and Matt Leinart and Mark Ingram, other guys that won the Heisman plus Joel Klatt, saying this dude need to win the Heisman because it's true, right? That's my Heisman winner. That's the guy that I think should win it. I said as much on Keyshawn's show over there on All Facts, No Breaks. Go check that out. Also, peep the haters in the comments for me. Tell them I said hi. Somehow, I pop up over there. That show does numbers, and all anybody want to do is yell at me. I think y'all telling on yourselves with that. That's why I'm doing this Colorado segment, right? Because you going to get this. That's what it's going to be. Everybody's about to be back on the Prime program, okay? Everybody who hadn't been talking about Coach Prime in Colorado about to be talking about Coach Prime in Colorado. It's about to be 2023 September off in this mug, okay? Now, the thing about that is Colorado hasn't demonstrated that it plays well when the lights is on, okay? Prime is fine. Shedeur is fine. Travis is fine. It's Colorado. Now, recognize that I realize in your skull, you thinking, hey, RJ, Prime, Shedeur, Travis, players, they all Colorado. No. Some of them dudes is just Colorado. Some of them dudes is superstars at Colorado. Jordan Seaton, superstar at Colorado. Shedeur Sanders, superstar at Colorado. Other dudes, just Colorado. Can just Colorado keep his head on straight, hey, put the blenders down, and go do what it do, baby? Or is it going to listen to what I got to say? Is it going to listen to what you got to say? Because I hear you. Look, man, y'all should go check these comments underneath this show because you're going to see these Colorado old heads with bad haircuts, with receding hairlines, with dudes that be talking about my voice, talking about, all you do is hate, RJ. Oh, it's all you do, RJ. It's all you do is hate. Look at you looking at me. That's what I'm saying. Look at you looking at me. Holding up with the lights on. That's all I'm asking Colorado to do. Hold up with the lights on. Because I guarantee you people are going to be watching this Colorado Texas Tech game, especially after what Texas Tech just did to Iowa State. Iowa State was looking to go 8-0 for the first time in school history. Texas Tech took the game back with 20 seconds left behind Taj Brooks on the road. Joey McGuire, one of the greatest high school football coaches to ever come out of Texas, right? Joey McGuire and Prime got tremendous respect for each other. They got to come up, right? I'm excited because I'm going to do my job. I'm going to be gassing. I'm going to be on this. What is it with the children? What is it, the lames? Glazing. That's what they glaze. What is that? I'm sorry. I stopped going to get my PhD in English to do this. So if you're going to use the slang, you're going to have to tell me what slang is. Otherwise, I'm just going to throw Shakespeare back at you and keep it moving. Okay? That you tell me what it is you're thinking about. Because one of us is doing this and one of us is not. That said, Prime's doing this. Okay? Now, I also think, as I'm standing over here talking about Colorado need to be in the top 25, y'all need to recognize that I'm saying Colorado need to be in the top 25. Stop talking about me like I ain't talked about them being in the top 25. Stop talking about me like I ain't been telling y'all. Stop telling us about Ashton Jeanty. He ain't done enough. He can't do enough. Cam Ward can't do enough. Dylan Gabriel can't do enough. None of them can do enough to keep this Heisman Trophy out of Travis Hunter's hands. He's going both ways. And I got people out here talking about he's mediocre on one side of the ball. Fool, ask Cam Ward to play safety. Ask Dylan Gabriel to play linebacker. Ask Ashton Jeanty to edge rush. Then talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why are we yelling about this? I know why I'm yelling about this. That's my job. Why are you upset about this? Why can't you understand that the boy playing 100+ snaps a game is unfriggin' precedented? We've never seen it. It is never been done. And you hating. You not appreciating. You hating. What? It's supposed to be a good time. You know, I don't think there's another college football coach in the world, in the entire world, that would let Travis Hunter do what he is doing except Prime. Everybody else would tell that boy to go play wide receiver. Everybody else. Jeremiah Smith don't get to play no both ways. Ohio State knows what they got. Could he? Yes. Could Caleb Downs play both ways? Yes. You got dudes that can play both ways all over football. But only one of them is doing it. To which, now I'm gonna go after economists on this, who economists just don't like fun. Economists be out here talking about cost-benefit analysis. You know what's fun about cost-benefit analysis? You know what's fun about coupon cutting? Huh? Tell me about you. Do y'all remember coupon cutting? Look, I'm talking to a bunch of people who don't even know what a VHS tape is. Coupon cutting used to be getting the sales ads on Sundays, looking for 2-for-1 specials, looking for 33 cents off. Doing it with my mama, doing it with my grandmommy. Y'all don't know nothing about no coupon cutting with these scissors. Okay? Now, you out here trying to tell these children, hey, don't be doing 2 jobs for one. Don't be doing 2 jobs when you're getting paid to do 1 job. No! Work! Make it happen. Trust what you're doing is going to get you where you want to go. And are you having fun? I write. I do this show. It's called 2 Jobs. I've been going both ways since I got into this thing. I love what I do. A great way to tell me to not have no fun is to tell me to work less. Why? Who's that serving? You know, you want them to pay you your value. No, then go prove your value. You know how you prove your value? You go win. You go get W's for people they let you do. The rule is this. It's actually 3 rules. Be on time. Be good at your job. Have people like you. You only need 2 of the 3. You ain't got to have all 3. If you good at your job and you on time, people ain't got to like you. If you on time and people are like you, you ain't got to be good at your job. Once you get to where you want to go, make it go. You know what I'm saying? Find a way. Nobody cares. Work harder. Find a way. That's the motto. The motto is find a way. And Travis Hunter went to go play for the only dude in the entire world who was like, you want to go both ways? Go both ways. Is your conditioning going to be up? We don't talk enough about this boy's conditioning. Look, man, when I was in undergrad, before the whole PhD and English thing happened, all I wanted to do was be a strength coach. That's all I wanted. Ask my mama. I got a national championship in powerlifting. I used to be 185 and 5'5", just a mini fridge. You know what I'm saying? Pulling 600 from the floor. Pushing 400 off my chest. There's pictures. There's all sorts of stuff. Got that championship. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to grow Jadeveon Clowneys. I wanted to grow Mario Edwards. I wanted to grow Samaj P. Ryans. I wanted to grow big, fast, strong dudes and have them go into the NFL and make it do. I wanted to be the man pumping people up to get past that threshold. You know, we start working when I see your face start changing. That's what it is. I'm also the same dude the strength coach said, hey, look, RJ the only dude out here 5'5", 155, thinking that, you know, he's 6'5", bulletproof. Had to lose the weight to run track and run the 400. But the point there is, I love a weight room because a weight room is a proving ground. And I love a proving ground because in a weight room, it ain't got nothing to do with talent. At one point, it doesn't, right? Everybody's got a pain threshold. Everybody's got a place where they're going to fail. I wanted to see what you look like when you were failing. I wanted to see what your character is like. What's your conditioning like? Are you going to push through this? You told me you want to go both ways. This is the conditioning program for the people to go both ways. Well, ain't no people to go both ways. It's just me. Exactly. Do you have that? Is that your heart? Do you got that kind of warrior spirit? Is that in you? Damn, I love that stuff. Like I'm getting hyped looking at the combine because I'm watching, homie. Hey, up. We going 27, 28, 29. 130. We going to be here. Not going to help you. And you catch it, put them up, pat them on the behind. Watch these chest seize up. Man, I'm telling you, Mo got to be having the best time of his life watching Travis train, dog. Man, I be watching the Rocky montage because I be watching the Rocky montage because that's how I'm built. So don't tell these boys to come out here and not go both ways. Don't tell them to work less. Have fun. This is the best he's going to be. Best he's going to be these 10 years. It's going to fall off after a little bit because it always falls off for some of us. You get older, you lose your reflexes. But right now, enjoy that boy. Enjoy this team. And that's why you got to rank them. And if they make it happen, they get to 10 wins and they don't make the playoff. Let me put it this way. Colorado takes care of business. They go 4-0 through the month of November. They don't play in the Big 12 championship. Who you going to put in ahead of them? Is it going to be the third place team in the ACC? Is it going to be Clemson? I hope not. Is it going to be Penn State? I hope not. Why? Because we're past the point where fairness is part of this. We don't do fair. Ask Florida State about fair in 2023. You better put that team in there because they're entertaining. I want to watch Travis Hunter play as much as I possibly can. I want to watch Jeremiah Smith play as much as I possibly can. I want the blessing that comes from following these stories. I do. I receive it. I feel so good when I get to see these dudes show out, man. When you know somebody from the neighborhood, somebody come over to high school, or even you've just been watching them play on TV, you feel invested. You go buy that jersey. You talk about them. You go watch their YouTube channel. You catch them on the socials. When they dap you up on the socials, it means something. That's your blessing. That's your spirit. Go give that to us. Put Colorado in there. Let them make a mistake before we start telling everybody that they be making a mistake. All this need to be going on, dog. All right, let's do my top 25. All right, let's do that. Well, it ain't Sunday yet, but I'm telling y'all, man, the book is over here. Got the suit ready to go on. I'm about to stand for the lectern and give this word, man. So my week 11 top 25. I already have a question about where they're going to put Indiana, where they're going to put SMU, where they're going to put Colorado. Because I think at the top, it's the Big Ten teams. It's Oregon, it's Ohio State. Two of the best wins in college football, one of the best wins in college football, and Georgia's looks suspect at times, right? Georgia's got the best win in college football on the road against Texas, but we've not seen that team play a complete game of football. Haven't, right? Carson Beck looks washed. You got Georgia fans going, all right, Kirby, it's time to put Gunnar Stockton in. Enough of this. Because they've seen it. 10 picks, last 5 games, 3 against Florida, 3 against Texas. You're not going to win no championships with Carson Beck throwing 3 picks a game. It's not happening. But the defense, when it wants to come on, it's coming on, right? So third best. But Ohio State at 2, that's a lock for me. Oregon at 1, that's a lock for me. And then we start to play, right? Then we start to play. So Oregon at 1, Ohio State at 2, Georgia at 3. I got Miami at 4, okay? It's not just that they came back from 28-17 to win against Duke, who was 6-2 at the time. It's that they won 53-31. It's that if you let Cam Ward do what he knows how to do, he's going to destroy you. 25-41, 400 yards, 5 passing TDs, 1 pick. They were just outstanding in the second half of that game, and Manny Diaz's defense is not bad. It's good. They still were able to put up 53, okay? That's what Damian Martinez rushing for just 66 yards. Number 5, I got Texas. They were idle this week. Number 6, I got Indiana at 6. I've moved them all the way up. And I expect to see them in the 6 to 8 range on Tuesday because of what they were able to do, right? Talk about like for like. So Oregon has played Michigan State. Ohio State has played Michigan State. Neither one of those teams beat Michigan State like Indiana beat Michigan State. Indiana stomped out Michigan State 47-10. Stomped them out. I understand they have not played anybody worth a damn, but it's how they're beating teams. And if it was Clemson, you wouldn't think about this. You wouldn't flinch because they get the blue blood exemption. They get the blue blood exemption because they won a national championship. Indiana's in that territory for me right now. We're not sure. We're not sure. We think, but we're not sure. We'll be sure when they get to play the Buckeyes in a couple of weeks' time, and that ought to be some furniture-moving game. That ought to be outstanding. Number 7, I got BYU. They were idle. They're the last undefeated team in the Big 12. They take care of their business. It's a wrap. They're going to be one of the 4 highest-ranked conference champions in the sport. Number 8, I got Tennessee. They defeat Kentucky. They got the loss to Arkansas, but they got the win against Bama. We'll see, right? Right now, it feels like one of the 12 best teams in the sport, but we'll see. Penn State, I dropped them all the way to 9. Find an offense that works. I don't care if it's Tyler Warren at quarterback. Find an offense that works. Don't be cute. Run the football, sure. But you got to be able to throw the football down the field. And Drew Aller ain't done that. Didn't do that against Ohio State. Ain't done that most of the year against a good football team. First time you played a good football team, you crap the bed at home. You lose 20-13. And now James Franklin's 1-14 against top 5 opponents. And if you're a Happy Valley fan, I got to wonder, you still want this dude? I mean, you're going to get 9-10 wins, but you're not going to win the game you want to win the most, which is today. That was today. They're at 9. I got Notre Dame at 10. They're idle. I got Alabama at 11. They're idle. LSU at 12. They're idle. Alabama, LSU is obviously next Saturday. Usually want to take the week off before that game. Iowa State, I dropped them to 13. Close loss to Texas Tech. Looked like they had it up until the end when Todd's time called game, right? That rushing touchdown with 20 seconds left to play. Iowa State couldn't do much after that. Boise State, I got them at 14. Their only losses to Oregon, which is the number 1 team in the country. They stomped out San Diego State 56-24. But the story for Boise State is whether or not Ashton Jeanty can get Barry Sanders' single season rushing record of 2,628 yards. I don't see it happening. He had 149 for 31. And he leads the FBS in rushing. He's got 1,525 yards on the ground. He's going to go for 2,000. He's averaging 190.6 per game. He's got 20 TDs. Do you realize that Barry Sanders had 4 300-yard rushing games in 11 games to get to that number? Not only does Ashton Jeanty get the extra game, he's yet to rush for 300 yards just one time. I don't see him getting there. Is he going to be a Heisman finalist? Hell yeah, he's a Heisman finalist. Lock that up. But getting to Barry Sanders, I don't see him doing that. And even if he did, he's playing at Boise State. He's not playing at Oklahoma State. He's not playing at USC. He's not playing at Alabama. Stop comparing this man to Derrick Henry. Stop comparing this man to Reggie Bush. They played big boy schedules. He plays at Boise State. That's just what it is. Those are just facts, okay? Number 15, I got A&M. They take the loss to South Carolina on the road. It's a doozy, but there's still one loss in the SEC. 5-way tie among SEC teams at the top because they took this loss to South Carolina. Missouri is idle this week. Ole Miss stopped a mud hole in Arkansas, walked it dry. They was out to prove something in that game. 63-31. Jackson Dart, 25-31 for 515 passing yards, 6 TDs. Jordan Watkins steps up when Trey Harris can't. It's cool. 8 catches, 254 yards, 5 TDs. Again, just stomped in a mud hole in Arkansas, walked it dry. SMU straps it on and absolutely goes after Pittsburgh. Just stomps a mud hole in them and walks that dry. That fairy tale is over. That Cinderella, pumpkin city, baby. SMU leaving no doubt with that win. Number 19, I got Clemson. They lost to Louisville. I'm going to drop them for that. Smoke and mirrors, right? They beat the crap teams. They're not beating the good teams. Army moves to 8-0 for the first time since 1996 after their win against Air Force 23. What's morally impressive about that is they did this game without Bryson Daly, who was out with an undisclosed illness or injury, but something they don't expect to keep him out for the next week's game. Didn't matter. Dwayne Coleman was going to get the start. They still got the win, 20-3 against Air Force. Didn't look that pretty, but it doesn't need to look that pretty when you 8-0. Pittsburgh will probably end up leaving them at 21. It's their first loss of the season. Kansas State, I dropped them to 22 with the loss to Houston, 24-19. Opens the door, for the Big 12 championship to be up in arms, right? Who's going to make it into that thing? Colorado, I got them at 23. They're idle. We'll see them still playing with that, but that's where I think they are. Vanderbilt at 23 for Colorado. Vanderbilt to 24. They defeat Auburn for the first time at Auburn, 17-7. Hugh Freeze, owned by Diego Pavia, who is 3-0 against Hugh Freeze. And Commodores 6-3 for the first time since 1982. Goodness me. Doubled up Alabama and Auburn for the first time since 1955. That's pretty outstanding. And then at 25, I got an idle team. I got Wazoo. One loss. You know what their one loss is? Boise State. Best wins Washington, but it doesn't seem to matter. You know what I'm saying? They win the Apple Cup. They're losing to a team that expects to win the Mountain West and be the highest-ranked Group of 5 champions. I think that makes them a top 25 team. And we'll see what else comes up out of this weekend. But this was already kind of a sleepy Saturday that ends up being a raucous Saturday. I am so grateful that y'all showed up to join me here. We're going to do this again very soon. If you like the channel, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button right now. Like this video. Share it on the Twitters, on the Facebooks. Tell them RJ sent you. And or hit me up in the comments. Hit me up on the tweets. I usually respond. All right. Y'all have a good night and an outstanding Sunday. Deuces.